Something I fell in love with this year was city settings. I love an urban setting for my books, specifically my fantasy books, and so I have a recommendation list full of them. There are modern city settings, and then there's also some that are more historical in nature. We still had city settings back in the day. We still had a difference between a town and a city, so you will see some of those on this list. I feel like it's the perfect time to give you this list since realmathon is next month, which is the month-long readathon that I run every single year in March, and this year's theme is a city setting, and we have 4 different families fighting for control over that city. During the month, you read books to either add points to your team or to take away points from another team. It's a lot of fun, and one of the ways you can earn points is by reading a city setting. I'm so proud of this theme. It is probably my favorite that I've come up with yet. Everyone always asks me how I come up with these themes, and the honest answer is I just love being creative, and I love learning creative skills. And I can thank the sponsor of today's video for helping me be able to do that, which is Skillshare. Skillshare is the world's largest online community for classes that are led by industry experts. You can take productivity ones. If you're like me, you can take ones on creativity. I personally am taking classes on coloring since we've seen that hobby take off for me in the last couple months. There's video editing classes you can take, and the first 500 people to use my link in the description bar will get a 1-month free trial on Skillshare, and you can take whatever class you want to. I'm taking an alcohol marker technique for absolute beginners, as learning to color with alcohol markers has definitely been harder than I thought it would be. There's definitely some skill that comes into it, but once I started doing it, I fell absolutely in love with how it can look, how the pages can turn out, and I can't wait to explore this passion, explore this hobby, and explore my creativity using Skillshare. So make sure to click that link down below to get yourself a 1-month free trial. We're gonna start this off strong with the book that honestly helped me create realmathon. A lot of it is inspired by this story, which is A House of Bane and Blood by Alexis L. Menard. This story is set in a fictional urban city, and we follow our main character who is set into an arranged marriage. Her and her family own a large stake of the city. They own a train that holds a lot of the resources. It gets resources from place to place within the city, so they typically have a lot of money. However, her brothers have bankrupted them. In order to get them out of bankruptcy, it is obviously on the female's shoulders. She has to do what she has to do, and she is sold off essentially in an arranged marriage. Her brothers have her set to marry another human family that has no magic, that is really high up. However, our main character doesn't like that lack of choice she got, and so she makes a better deal with a revenant family. And the thing is, the humans and the revenants are at war, and so it's a little messy, but she really wants to take her life, her destiny into her own hands, and so she chooses him. And as she gets to know the revenants and their side of the town, their side of the river, she realizes not all is as it seems, and there's definitely something happening behind closed doors within the town. I love this so much. This is a fantasy romance that I scream about. It was my favorite book of last year. The banter in this is top tier. There's also a good amount of plot. The way Nico and Camilla just like bond together is like exceptionary to me. It's so good. I don't know how else to tell you to read this, but this is so good. If you haven't read it, please do. 100%. I had a theme for realmathon that was not this, and then I read this book and I was like, I have a better idea. So please read this, especially if you're participating in realmathon, because I gave this 5 stars. Incredible. Switching that up to a very urban setting that is not a fantasy romance, we have Jade City by Fonda Lee. We follow the Greenbones, who are a gang, a clan within the city, and the city has a really main industry of jade, and jade is kind of like a drug enhancement. It is magical in this, but when you have jade, when you wear jade, when you insert jade into your body, if you have the genes to let you, you can use jade to like enhance your strength and stuff like that. And so there is like a war for trade of jade, and who runs the city has like the most jade, and we follow essentially a city war over the jade. We follow the Greenbone clan, and I think that this has some of the best characters ever written. I truly bawled my eyes out in the last book in this series. I felt devastated and emotionally railed. So this is incredible. If you haven't read the Greenbone saga, now's the perfect time. I feel like this book really fits the theme as well. Another fantasy romance is a Why Choose that I loved, which is Broken Bonds by Jay Brie. This is a little bit more silly goofier than the last 2 that I recommended. This is set in our world within a city, and we have the humans versus the bonds, the people with magic, and we watch our main character who is bonded to these men, but she doesn't want to be bonded to them, so she runs away and hides from them. But when they find her, they will not let her go. They will not let her out of her sight. They think that she just doesn't love them and doesn't want to be with them, but she's trying to protect them and the entire world from what could be unleashed if she bonds bonds with them. This was just a lot of fun. I love a good wide shoes romance, so this was a lot of fun for me. Let's swap it up and do another fantasy. Maybe I'll do fantasy, romantasy as I go. But we have the Daevabad trilogy, which starts with City of Brass. Follow our main character who is a thief, but when she accidentally does magic, she calls a Deva to her, and he takes her away to the city of Daevabad, where she learns that there's different politics at rule, that she might secretly be the long lost heir, except for everyone's gonna hate her because she's also half human and they don't really like humans in the city, and she has to find her place, she has to fight for her place, and she has to really be smart. God, it's been so long since I read the series, but it's absolutely incredible. It's one of my favorites. I do think the beginning is very slow. I kind of had to push through it. I actually DNF'd this book 3 times before I got through it because I just couldn't push past that beginning, but when I did, I gave all of these books 5 stars. The entire series is a 5-star read for me. It's so good. We also follow another POV in this that's a little bit more political. He's the second son to the king, and what that means for him and what freedoms he has and what freedoms he doesn't have, and the politics and his beliefs and how they contradict a lot of the beliefs from the city, I really liked as well. There is a little bit of romance in this one, but it's not a fantasy romance at all. But I definitely love the Daevabad trilogy. I think it's beautiful. I love the world of Daevabad. I love the city. I love all of the mythology that was used. I think it's very, very well done and such a beautiful story that everyone should read. A recent fantasy fave is Reign of Shadow and Endings by Melissa K. Rowick. This is following a world where the gods left the legacies in charge, and they also created the Fae for the legacies, and the legacy families take sources. They take specific Fae to drink their blood and essentially use their magic as their own and use them as like a source for more powerful magic. We follow our main character who is a Fae who is, surprisingly, she did not expect it, picked to be a source. And the worst thing is it is for the worst family, like it is for like the family that's known to be like dark and evil. And so she doesn't know what to expect, and she's just kind of thrown into this world of politics and this world of power, corruption, and things like that. Everything is not as it seems, the whole world, the design, everything, but this is also done in a city setting. You do see them in a car. I feel like this feels hidden away within the city, like they're definitely within an apartment a lot of the time, but it is set within a city in this world, so I'm gonna count it as a city setting. Everyone can make their own opinion on what counts as a city setting to them or not, but for me, even though it's like hidden within the apartment because of the overall place that they are in, I still would count it as a city setting. There's also scenes of them at like a hotel and like out for dinner and stuff, so I would definitely count this as an urban setting. Again, another 5-star from me. I loved this. I'm telling you, 5-star after 5-star after 5-star for urban settings. We're gonna swap into a sci-fi technically, which is the Scythe series by Neil Shusterman. I love this series. It's a YA series. It's also set in our world. It is dystopian or utopian, I guess. We follow a world where humans have learned how to not die. They have cheated the system. Nothing kills them anymore. They can just be brought back to life at whatever point. And so in order to compensate for overpopulation, we have created scythes, who are people with the job to kill people. And they have to do it randomly, and there's a bunch of rules on how they do it, but shockingly, the scythes are corrupt at some point. And we follow our couple characters, there's 2 main characters, as they fight for the job of a scythe, and they learn everything to come with it, and they have to unravel what's going on and things like that. I really thought this was just so intriguing and so well done. I loved this series, so I definitely need more people to read it. I really think it's fun. It's a fast read. Yeah, so definitely check this one out if you haven't already. Another romantasy is City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards. This is a chunky boy that I recently gave 5 stars to. Darian Castle is like one of my top tier book boyfriends. I loved him so much. This is a story following our main character who lives in a city where at nighttime the demons come out, and so there are like protective places that have magic to help prevent the demons from going on, but like if you walk alone at night in the dark, you're risking being murdered by these demons. And one night her and her friends are coming home from the bar late, and they accidentally stay out past this curfew, and instead of demons coming for them, something worse comes for them, and it's a demon slayer, and they end up taking one of her friends, but they were really there for her, which is weird because her friend was a witch, she was magical, but she's just a human. And so then when there is a hit put out for her, another demon slayer comes and ends up working with her to track her friend down because he knows that there's something more going on. There's a lot of scheming and stuff in this. This is a long boy, but like, I don't know, I flew through this. I just love Darian Castle so much. His protectiveness for her was just so good. Everything he said, his like home with all the other demon slayers, that was so good. I liked this a lot. I liked where it went. I thought it was fun. I liked the city setting a lot. I thought the idea of these demons being warded voted against, but the wards falling was really interesting and intriguing. I really, really, really did enjoy this one, so I hope more people pick it up. Another fantasy that I really enjoyed is The Winter's Promise. This definitely reads YA. Personally, the second one is my absolute favorite. I loved the second one. It's got a murder mystery. It's called The Missing of Claire de Lune. We follow our world that has been separated into things called arcs. We essentially have these own worlds that exist now, and we follow our main character Ophelia, who comes from one arc where knowledge is kind of key. Objects have souls there, and she has a magical power to touch an object and see its history. If you participated in realmathon last year, there was some inspiration. Her peaceful life on this arc has been disrupted when she is put into an arranged marriage to the leader of the dragon clan, who lives on the pole. The pole is one of the coolest settings I've ever read about. It is truly the urban setting that I love. That's the urban setting of my dreams. The way that like things appear and disappear, I just like really liked it. Like the stairs are moving. You can get to this door at some times, but not at this times. I thought it was very interesting. There is a romance in this story, like most YA stories, but I don't think it's a romantasy. I did love the plot in this. I loved figuring out why she was chosen, because she's put into an arranged marriage by like the arc spirit. Each arc has like a spirit, and that's where they get their like magic and stuff from. And she doesn't know why the arc spirit chose her and why that this is happening, and so she has to kind of get to the bottom of it, and because she's not special and she doesn't understand it and she does not belong in this new world. And I just thought it was so engaging. I actually should reread this as I'm talking about it because I really enjoyed the story and I forgot how much. So I hope more people read it and love it. Another romantasy is The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen. This is Percy Jackson and the Olympians meets the Hunger Games. We essentially follow our main character who is picked to participate in these trials that the gods play, where they put humans in these trials, and the one that wins, the god that chose that human, is the next like god leader. And Hades normally does not participate in this because he is a god of hell. Like he has his own ruling and they just like, it's murky and he doesn't really care. But this year he cares and he picks our main character to play in it. And obviously everyone is wondering why Hades all of a sudden cares. There has to be more plans than just, oh, he's interested this time. Like he's up to something. And our main character and Hades get along quite well. I just think this is fun. I don't think that this is the most substance read in my opinion, but I really, really, really enjoyed the trials in this. It's fast paced, it's always moving, and I personally had a great time with it. So I'm hoping more people love it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I also thought the Greek god part was like a fun take for like the trials as well, because I liked that they were all based on the different gods and things like that. I thought there were some creative and unique trials in this. And lastly, one of my all-time favorite fantasies is Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. This is a fantastical city. This is more of a historical city setting. We follow our main characters. We actually follow 3 characters, 2 of which who are arranged to be married together. But when one of them gets the shade, I think is what it's called, she is left a widow. The shade essentially is a disease that when a person gets, they never heal from any injury that they've ever gotten. So you get a paper cut, you're gonna have that paper cut for life. You bruise your knee, you have that bruise for life. And so people aren't sure how they get this, how it's contracted. So anyone who gets the shade is shoved into the city of Elantris and literally just left to die there. And so we follow that character who's left in Elantris. And so he is still alive, but in this world, once you have it, you're just seen as dead. So his fiance is now a widow who's never even met her future husband, and she comes from a different city. And so when she comes here, she's trying to find her place as she was set to marry the prince. And so we follow what that means as they try to figure out what exactly is going on, what the shade is. And we also follow another character who is a religious zealot, and we follow him as he talks about what's going on as well. I think that this has some of the best politics I've ever read. This is one of my favorite books. It is currently a standalone, and I just really enjoyed it. I really, really, really loved this story, and so I also need more people to read it. I thought that the city of Elantris was really cool. I thought what was happening in there was really cool. I remember really liking his POVs and learning what happens to the shade and what humans are capable of in a system like that or a society like that. I need more people to read this one as well, and it's perfect. It is a fantastical urban setting. If you have any urban setting recommendations for me, please leave them down below. I would love to hear about them. I want to read more of them. And if you're interested in learning more about realmathon because you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'll leave that video on the screen for you to check out. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video and you'd just like to leave me an emoji just to say you were here, leave me something green and have yourselves an absolutely remarkable day.